Hello there, and then welcome to a brand new video. This is Hub Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. Now, we are continuing our journey in the world of integers. In our last lesson, we looked at addition and subtraction of what integers. In this lesson, we are looking at how to multiply and then divide the integers. These also have their own set of rules, and once you understand them, I tell you, you'll be able to divide and multiply any set of integers. So without much I say, let's quickly look into it. So multiplication is just like repetition or repeated addition. You get it? So if you have 3 times 4, it simply says 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. You see? But with integers, we really need to consider the signs, right? There are 4 rules, 4 very simple rules we need to consider. And they are, so our first rule is saying anytime we want to multiply two positive integers, our answer is always going to be what? A positive number. And that is the normal multiplication we have been doing in our elementary classes. So for instance, if you have positive 2 multiplying positive 2, because they are both positive, you are going to get a positive number. That is fine. Now, the second rule governing multiplication says that if you are multiplying two numbers and they are both negative, then your answer is also going to be what? Positive. That is a little bit tricky, but that is the fact. So if you have negative 2 multiplying negative 2, then you are going to do what? Get a positive 2. These two rules here are similar. You see, what they are saying is, if you are multiplying and they are of the same signs, if the integers are of the same side, then signs, then you are always going to get a positive answer. You see, so if they are both positive or they are both negative, then the product is positive. But this, on the other hand, the first one says if you have a positive integer and you multiply it by a negative integer, you are going to get a negative integer. That is, if you have negative 2, if you have positive 2, that is positive times a negative 2, it gives you a negative integer. You see, so positive 2 times negative 2 gives us negative 4. Secondly, a negative integer times a positive integer gives us a negative answer. So that you are going to get what? Negative 2 times positive gives us a negative 4. What this second set of rules is saying is that if the signs are different, so if you have different signs, then your answer is always going to be what? A negative. You see, if your signs are different, then your answer is always going to be a negative. So these are the rules that govern multiplication. Let's look at how best we can apply them. So for our first question, let's evaluate negative 7 times 2. So for negative 7 times 2, the signs are different. You see, and we said if the signs are different, then our answer is what? Negative. So we know 7 times 2 is 14. But since the signs are different, we are going to get negative 14. As simple as that. You get it? If the signs are different, negative. Let's try another one. So we have negative 3 times negative 5. This time around, the signs are the same. You see? So 3 times 5 gives us what? A 15. 3 times 5, we know, gives us a 15. But yes, so as the signs are the same, then it is still going to be a positive 15. You see? As simple as that. So if you know the rules, there is nothing to fear. Let's look at some 2 more examples. So we have 4 times negative 6. So 4 multiplying negative 6, as we already know, we have 4 times 6 giving us a 24. But because the signs are different, that is a positive and a negative, our answer is going to be negative. You see that? Then one last one over here. So we have -1 times -1. The signs are what? The same. And we know 1 times 1 gives us a 1. Negative times negative gives us what? A positive. You see, so +1, as simple as that. So these are the rules we use when multiplying. Now let's look at the rules of division. So when it comes to division of integers, it is important to note that the rules of the game are still the same as compared to what? Multiplication. So the first rule says if you are dividing and they are of the same symbols, then your answers are positive. But if you are dividing and they are of different symbols, then you should get what? Negative. That is, a positive divided by a positive should give you what? A positive. A negative divided by a negative should give you a positive because the symbols are the same. Then finally, a positive dividing a negative should give you a negative. And then a negative divided by a positive should give you a negative. The signs are the same, give you positive. Different signs gives you what? Negative. Let's look at some examples of how these rules are applied. So for 6 divided by 2, we are dividing 6 by 2. It is a positive number dividing a positive number. Hence, our answer is simply 3. You get it? Our answer is simply 3. Then for 10 divided by what? 5. This is also a positive number dividing a positive number. Hence, our answer is what? 2. You see that? So anytime a positive number divides a positive number, you are going to get a positive number. Now let's take this. So -6 divided by -2. -6 divided by 2 gives us a 3 because they are of the same signs. And if they are of the same sign, they'll give us what? Positive. Secondly, -10 dividing what? -5 also gives us a 2. Why? Because they are of the same signs. You see? Now let's look at the next set. So for 6 divided by -2, if you look at this carefully, they are of different signs. Hence, we are going to get a -3. You see? Because the signs are different. +10 dividing -2 also follows the same rule, giving us a -2 because the signs are different. And same applies to -6 dividing 2. It gives us a -3. Why? Because we have different signs. And finally, -10 dividing 5. That gives us a -2 because the signs are different. So these are how we evaluate what? Multiplication and division of fractions, of integers. Now let's take some mixed ones and then see how best we can apply it. And so our first question says we have to calculate -3 times 4 divided by -2. You see? So for this over here, let's first of all work the division. So that in so doing, we are going to maintain our -3. We have our -3 times 4 divided by -2. So we know 4 divided by -2 is going to give us a -2 because it is a positive number divided by a negative number. After which we are left with what? -3 times -2. -3 times -2. That is a negative number times a negative number. That gives us a positive number. So 3 times 2 gives us a 6. And we are good to go. You see how simple it is? Let's look at some few more examples. So we have 10 divided by -5 times -1. 10 divided by -5 times -1. So 10 divided by -5, we know gives us what? a -2. Why is it -2? Because we have a positive divided by negative. And we said when the signs are different, we get a negative answer. So we have evaluated this one and we have times, let's times over here, times our -1. So this time around 2 times 1, since they are both negative, negative times negative gives us a positive. So -2 times -1 will then give us what? A 2 as our final answer. This is how we work what? Multiplication and division of integers. I'm gonna leave some exercises you can try your own just to test your understanding. So these are some exercises you can try out on your own. The first one is on multiplication of integers, the second on division, then the third one you have mixed multiplication and then division. And then for the final one you have word problems, that is real world application. Let's have Beyond Numbers where we learn maths the easy way. If this video was helpful to you, you can always choose to subscribe. If you haven't, then you so do wish. So that anytime I release a new video, you'll be notified as well, and then you learn along. If there's any issue of concern, you can always let me know at the comment section, and I'm going to address that for you. Stay safe and then stay blessed. Bye.